In the morning, you got me up all cause you need to talk. To 4 in the evening, wanna break up, say that you've had enough. I'm tired of talking, again and again, argue about everything. You are my darling, this kiss and make up, I know you wanna touch. You call me every night, call me every day, I just wanna get you alone now. Trust me when I say, we gon' be okay, we just gotta boom bada boom ba. I don't wanna fight, you know that I'm right. Baby, let me talk to your body. We gon' be okay, hear me when I say.
You old fish-eyed fool. You miserable old snagger-tooth jackass. You ignorant old bum. You beady-head old pickle-eyed fool. You are unholy sinner and a heathenish foul Philistine. You bean-eating bear hugger. You a heathen, Fred Sanford. Old senile heathen. I'll unscrew your arm from your shoulder and beat your brains out. You just keep sucking on that sucker. And when I pull your chain, you bark. Woodrow, put that bottle down before I unscrew your wrist. I'd bust your eyeball. Twist his head until it unscrews. I'll get some sticks and stones and break your bones. And the name that'll hurt you will be Esther.
Who told you that you can rise from the morass of your current situation? Who told you that you had to be a slave to the pain of your past? Who told you that you had to settle for mediocrity in this current culture called America? Who told you that you couldn't change your mind? Talk to me. Now's the time for empowerment. And I'm not the Reverend Knight. I'm the coach of clinician.
attention I've been giving to you. Caught up in my feelings, I got feelings for you. Caught up in my feelings, I got feelings for you. On my mind, I can't lie. On my mind, I can't lie. Pull you down till you dry. Pull you down till you dry. All the time, ease my mind. All the time, ease my mind. I know that you're dangerous, I'm addicted to you. I might rent the Lambo and go drive it like it's stolen. I've been living wild, I'm just going through the motions. Stumbling out the Uber, grab my hand, gave me the notion. Swimming in your water, but it feels just like the ocean. I can't lie, I've really been addicted to you. All of my attention I've been giving to you. Caught up in my feelings, I got feelings for you. Caught up in my feelings, I got feelings for you. On my mind, I can't lie. On my mind, I can't lie. Pull you down till you dry. Pull you down till you dry. All the time, ease my mind. All the time, ease my mind.
Pain. I've been there. Locked up inside my head. Broken from fear, illusions, disappointment, and hopelessness. Who heard me in my silence, where being a man means nothing? Despair. I've been there too. Desperately seeking answers for the questions associated with manhood. Hills and valleys, too bleak to compare. Stress. Suffering in a utility silo. No comfort, no security. No freedom, no justice. Just do it for others. Challenges. Who will help me break the challenges? Lost in the vortex of darkness, hopelessness, fear, and abandonment. I've been there too. I've been there too. Take the next step to your destiny. Join me in this fight. Walk forward. Deep breaths. Head held high, men. Come join me, men, in the winds of time. Stories, hopes, visions, purified in the fire. I'm not a superhero. And I'm not the Reverend Knight. I'm here to help you. Join me, men, in this fight. Break the chains of your mind. Let's do it now. For now is all we have. Fire for your mind. The Kosher Clinician. Warning. You are about to enter a territory that's designated by men for all men. And while my platform is clearly designated for all men, many times I will be talking about issues that are endemic only to men of the ADOS descent. If you are a woman coming into the Kosher Clinician Show, understand that these topics or topics that are more or less salient to male issues, you need to be mature, you need to be open-minded, you need to listen. To those that think that because they come or allow women to come into space, that this space will be compromised for the sake of beauty, image, or more or less chicanery of any form, you will be greatly deceived. My platform is designed to empower men and to empower good women that are trying to find resolve. And while my channel is designated primarily for the functioning of male rights and male empowerment, it is good and clear for balance to hear a different perspective. You have been warned. If listening to the kosher clinician is not advantageous to your psyche, please exit left. All right, guys, we're going to drop some fire for your mind in a minute. I got my man, the Ingram Experience, in the back, and we're going to have a powerful show talking about a myriad of topics on the night, more importantly, how many young men are compromising their future because they don't know how to think properly. But also the question remains is this: have many young men been stung because they're not relationship ready or husband ready as it relates to dealing with modern women? Get your pens and paper ready. The Ingram Experience is not going to drop some fire for your mind. Let's do it. Bringing it to you live once again from the greatest state in the Union, the Tar Heel State, where the topography is serene, pristine, and verdant green, where every day is Father's Day, and where manhood is part of hills and valleys, victories and failures, and whereas men, we don't agree on all things or ideologies, but tonight we come together as allies of a common cause only to dissipate once the crisis is over. Now listen, I'm about to drop some fire for your mind. But before I drop that fire, let's explore why we are doing the Manhood Chronicles. All right. So we got the Ingram Experience in the house, and we're going to have a powerful conversation on the night. These conversations are very important as it relates to masculinity and also as it relates to men. I started a series called Meta Madness, meaning what were they thinking about? And one will ask the question, what was Miles Bridges thinking about as he was about to get the bag? He was about to cash in on maybe a max contract. But now Miles Bridges has found himself in a very tough situation, a tough spot where not only the Charlotte Hornets might not bring him back, but we're going to see how many young men are compromising their power in marriage and relationships, as it could be argued that as many men or women are not wife ready, it could be argued that many men are not husband ready. But many men are not husband ready, not because they have not been trained to be traditional, but because they have been trained to compromise power instead of demanding power. The Ingram Experience is in the house. No shout out to him. And the Ingram Experience, how you doing, sir? We're going to break down this topic about Miles Bridges, and also we're going to break down the recent situation about the Mcdonald situation as it relates to modern women and how men need to move when dealing with women of such ilk. So, Ingram, how are you doing, sir? Unmute yourself, brother.
Hey, what's going on, man? Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, sir. I can hear you perfectly.
Hey, salute everybody tuning into to the chat, man. Hey, what's going on, Kosher? Happy to be here tonight, man.
Man, this grinding, man. This grinding, man. You know, just trying to, make it damn do what it do. But when we talk about this Miles Bridges situation and this in general, I want to ask you a very what I call practical question: are modern men husband ready, and are modern men ready to take on the responsibility and the burden of leadership as it relates to women? We could argue that many men are very modern, but we're still very traditional as it relates to dealing with our women. So the question is this: are modern men husband ready and ready to deal with relationships as it relates to modern women?
The answer is no.
Okay.
And I've always had the conclusion that a male lion cannot lead hyenas. Mm-hmm. I don't care what type of masculinity you have or whatever. And we know we black men especially raised in this matriarchal called America,
Right.
matrix society, especially in the Black community. And I don't care what anybody says. There's a couple of factors that you have to take in consideration. First of all, I use that analogy. Male lions can't lead hyenas.
Right.
It's not going to happen. Secondly, you got to also consider how empowered women are in this country by the government. So, two is company, three is a crowd. You're in a relationship with that woman, but also the government.
Right.
And the government is on her side. The court of public opinions is on her side. And you can't, be in your masculine frame, which most of these young men are not raised around strong masculine men in the first place, to take any form of leadership or be in that position, unless you're just that guy who just, don't care or don't care what people say. You're just gonna lead and do what you do. You know what I mean? There's very few of those guys out here.
Right. It is very few. And sadly, so many of our young men compromise their power because they've never seen true masculinity in its powerful form. Guys, I'm doing a couple of things behind the scenes as we get this show started tonight. If you know anything about content creation, many times we're a one-man show. So I do everything by myself. It's a lot of work, but I want to see you young men empower. I want to make sure you guys get good content, good quality content, because if it's not kosher, I don't deal with it. But there's been a lot of consternation in the news, Ingram. More importantly, the Miles Bridges situation. We're going to get into that because many men are getting stung. But besides men living in a gynocentric society, what else is compromising so many young men, Ingram, as it relates to learning how to broker power in relationships? You talk about a term called relationship capitalism. And tell the audience what that means to you. And while it appears that in these modern times, there's a such thing called relationship inflation, because, many expect more than what they're willing to give. So what say you about this whole concept called relationship capitalism?
I think it has to do with men putting themselves in the best situations to be successful. That means you're not limiting your option. You're making the best option for yourself, irregardless of what people think. You're not tunnel vision. You're not locked in to dating this type of woman or that type of woman. You work hard and you become the best version of yourself. Whatever woman that you choose or somebody you choose to be in a relationship should be somebody who adds value to your life.
Right.
And I don't believe in relationship welfare, where you're just dating women just because they're a part of a certain community, or you only date Black women or whatever. If that's your preference, so be it. The problem is that you have to put yourself in a situation where you're celebrated versus whether you're tolerated. And you have to put yourself in a situation where women of value have to compete for you, are competitive, and want your masculine presence.
Right.
You're not limiting yourself, because the biggest issue you have here is a lot of men don't value themselves, especially in the Black community. They've been raised by a lot of single moms. They think their mentality is more egalitarian in how they approach women. They think they have to bend over backwards when they're providing provision, protection, security, and maintenance to women. And that is a very valuable thing, especially in countries that are not government empowered. And that's often taken for granted. And my perspective on that is, it's like I treat relationships like I treat a business when it comes to meeting women and dealing with women, is that if I go somewhere and I have bad service and I put a capitalistic approach to that, I don't stand around complaining about it. And I just don't go there anymore. They're not going to get my business. And I think men should look at relationships the same way.
Right. And is it safe to say, Ingram, that so many men have been compromised because they've been raised in environments where they've never seen true masculinity? Is that safe to say?
That is very safe to say. We've been raised in an environment that they haven't seen. The simp cultures here, very big. Like I always say this thing, Mother's Day is a celebration, Father's Day is a burden. The reality of life is we're taught in this culture to worship women, basically, and not have any value to ourselves. We think about women as a prize or or so on and so forth. But realistically, if you go to the other culture, the value of a good man, you just cannot, stress that, because they're not government empowered. And so they value their men. Their men are an asset to the family, generational wealth, protection for kids, protection in the community. There's a value system. And here, obviously, we don't have that system here. Obviously, women have jobs, which is fine, and they're more independent. And, well, I wouldn't say they're more independent, to be honest with you, because what I'm seeing out here in the streets nowadays. But the reality of life is they don't value men as much because they have the government, and the government can usually take resources from productive people and give it to unproductive people very easily.
Yeah, and I agree with that, man. It's safe to say, Ingram, that there's relationship inflation. You talked about relationship capitalism, meaning men should get the best. I parroted your term and came up with relationship inflation, meaning there's a lot of inflated egos now thinking they deserve better than what they are actually really worth, but they don't really bring anything of substance to the table, to the point, Ingram, that a lot of men are getting stung. They're getting stung in the courts. They're getting stung in relationships. And now Miles Bridges is about to get stung because he's about to have what's called ego. Yeah. Miles Bridges, Ingram's about to get ego dystonia. And it basically means...
That's a major fumble, man. I shook my head because, but I mean, like you deal with a situation like this. Okay, Miles Bridges is 24 years old.
Yep, he's a baby.
And what we find a lot of times is that a lot of these young men, when they put themselves in these positions in life, it can happen to anybody. I have kids too,
right.
But, none of us is perfect as parents or whatever. But what I find interesting is that with a lot of these young men, he's married at 24 years old, has a baby. The young lady doesn't even have his last name. In that scenario, in that situation, a lot of these young men don't have anybody really in their ears. What they have is, because they've been successful, is a lot of enablers. And what happens is they're afraid to give them the straight truth, because they're afraid that they'll get cut out of the money. So they won't tell these kids, look, man, hell no, don't do that. What are you doing? You're crazy. Why are you marrying this chick at 24 years old? You're, in a situation where that could have been prevented. But now he's in a situation, in an environment where he married her. He's in a household. We don't know what's going on in that household, whether he's a monster or whether she's a provoker. We don't really know, because
that's a good point. Right. Excellent. Right. Right. And we're gonna get into that in a minute, Ingram. But we talked about relationship inflation, and you're right. He doesn't know if she's a monster or a provoker. But we take domestic violence issues serious on this channel, whether it be men or women. I'm a firm believer that women should not put their hands on men, and I believe that men should not put their hands on women. If you want to put your hand on the lion, then you shouldn't put your hands on a man, or vice versa. But we're beginning to see so many men getting stung, Ingram, because, like you were saying, you have enablers, but also this man had a max was actually on the verge of getting a max contract. The Charlotte Hornets, and that's my team in Charlotte, they offered him a 4-year, $60 million contract. He betted against himself to the point now he got a max contract.
Right.
But now it appears that the bag has been fumbled. And in the meantime, shout out to Gregory Scotland for that $5 super sticker. Thank you, Gregory Scotland. Appreciate it, sir. And guys, in the meantime, get the locks up, share this stream and help me grow this channel. And if you're not donated to the channel, donate to the channel as well. This Ingram and I break down these issues with Miles Bridges, but also the ghetto mom from McDonald's. We're trying to teach men how to move not only in masculinity, but also how to deal with modern women. And you said something very powerful, Ingram. You talked about something that you see Miles Bridges' wife didn't take his last name, but also his child doesn't have his last name. Why is that a red flag in your opinion?
Well, it's a red flag because it's obviously I don't know the sister personally, but I can only study people's behavior. And the first thing I say is after the incident happened, he's been tried in the court of public opinion. She goes to Instagram, she's showing bruises, scratches, and so on and so forth. So when people start trying cases in the court of public opinion, that's a big red flag of the type of person they are. When women don't take men's last name, that's almost like she does not accept a man or accept him as in his manhood traditionally. I know this is modern times, but it appears that, we're dealing with one of these radical feminist type women, because it's an honor to be married to a man. You accept him, you become one household. She's obviously not falling under his leadership completely. So, but like I said, regardless of what, men shouldn't be striking women, and it should never get to that point. But we're dealing with some emotionally charged situations.
Right.
And the question becomes, I don't have enough facts to really make a good situation where I can really analyze the total secret. What happens is the court of public opinions, Miles Bridges is done. But the court of public opinions is where she tried. A lot of these women, modern women, are putting things out here on social media. We don't get all the facts. You know what I mean? I would have to go back and do Miles Bridges' entire background. What was he like at Michigan State? I'll have to interview all of his girlfriends. Does he have a history of this type of behavior?
Right.
I want to get all the facts, the full story, even though there's still no reason for him to do what he did. I would still like to hear all the facts, because what happens is we're quick to put people in these categories of these monsters, and we have this domestic narrative where we don't know all the facts of what happened behind closed door.
Right.
We only see what the outcome is and what the court of opinion is. But as
Right,
far
right.
as his career is concerned, there's a hole. It's hard to dig out of this hole.
Do you think he's done?
Likely, yes. Considering the political environment, consider the women's rights groups, people. I don't know. I mean, she's showing scars and all these things on Instagram. It's hard to tell, because I know it's a risk for any NBA team to really, sign him now. You know what I mean? To me, it's not worth the risk.
Right. A lot of men are getting stung, Ingram, and because Miles Bridges is going to be having ego dystonia, he's going to have a dystonic ego because of what he went through. Anytime he see a woman that look like his wife, he's going to get triggered. And he's going to get triggered, Ingram, not because, he couldn't have made better decisions, but he's going to get triggered because he's realizing that he lives in a culture that does not value men. And that's why we have these conversations. You have two boys. And what do you tell your sons about men being men, Ingram, and also not getting stung and being husband ready and also relationship ready? Because if you had to set your two boys down, what would you tell them about not getting stung from modern women and how to demand power as being husbands? Because it's a very dichotomous question. I do believe, once again, as I said earlier, that these young men are ready, Ingram, as it relates to being traditional, but they're not ready as it relates to understanding female nature and how to broker power. So what would you tell your sons, man?
Well, the first thing I would tell them is this. I don't even want to hear you talking about getting married to some woman unless you're 30 or over. This is the time period where you're building yourself into, manhood takes time to develop, to put yourself in the best position possible. You want to build this is the wealth building years, 18 to 30. You really need to be out here on the grind, working hard, building yourself. I don't want to hear about no marriage. I don't want to hear about whatever. You need to be on your grind. You need to be building yourself into the best man possible and establishing yourself economically. You need to be working. I don't want to hear about you getting married or whatever else. Secondly, the first thing I did with my boys is we talked a lot about female nature and understanding what's out here, how you have to deal with women, the type of personalities they are. So they've had that masculine voice in their ears since they were young, since they were teenagers, and how to deal with girls, how to manage girls, how not to get your emotions so caught up with this romantic love aspect of things.
Right.
We talk about how respect is more important than love.
Right. Right.
You'd rather have a woman respect you than love you.
Right.
And you get respect by, you earn respect, but you also have to be a man. You're not here to take a lot of nonsense and put up with a lot of nonsense, because you have to value yourself and understand that women are supposed to add value to your life. You're not supposed to be out here being with women that don't add any value to your life.
Right.
And in a situation like Miles Bridges, if he told me he was married to some woman as a thief, the thing about it is, I'm not my kids' friends. I'm their father.
Right.
I'm gonna tell you, hell no, I don't approve of it. You don't even marry her, and you're not gonna be, you want, marry some modern woman like she is. I'm like, hell no, you're not doing that.
Right.
You can do whatever you want to do, but you're not gonna have my approval on that. I'm not
right.
on that nonsense.
Right. And it's unfortunate because, as I said, I'm a Charlotte Hornets fan. And I felt that Miles Bridges is what you call a transcendental talent. And he was going to be the one that was going to help get the Hornets over the hump. But sadly now, Miles Bridges is about to have a schema affliction because now he's dealing with a woman that's going to cause him not only a loss of money. And listen, we've seen many times, Ingram, and also to the young men that are listening, we've seen women that have feigned or more or less faked injuries. And I'm not saying this woman faked injuries, so please hear me. I'm not saying that because I don't condone domestic violence of any form, whether it be male or female. Miles Bridges is looking at some horrific time or horrific contract deals being relinquished. I'm sad because of that, and it makes me angry because the day prior to you being put on and getting big money, now you're being accused of domestic violence. And, we don't know if this woman was being vindictive. Back in the past, Miles Bridges was caught being in a woman's DMs. Who's to say that this woman is being vindictive? I don't know. So I'm not going to judge the situation because I don't know. But we're going to talk about domestic issues. But in the meantime, we're going to also talk about the Mcdonald's Massacre. I call it the Mcdonald's Massacre because this one.
Well, I'll try not to piss off the single moms tonight. I apologize, ladies, in advance. But, it is what it is. But Miles, like I said, ain't nobody in these kids' corner, especially in our community, that you have a bunch of enabling dudes and enabling people, and men aren't really putting their voices into it. Miles Bridges would get cursed out by me.
Right.
Literally. If he came to me telling me he's marrying some broad at 24 years old
right.
in the NBA, I would literally curse him out. And and whatever is what it is. I wouldn't, get your head out of your ass. You're 24 years old. You're a multi-millionaire. You're in the prime of your career.
Right.
The last thing you need to be worried about is having a wife. But he had the kid. Take care of your kid. Do what you got to do. But you need to be focused on your purpose at 24 years old. Reevaluate this at 30. And the reason you put her in a situation where now Eddie Curry did some dumb stuff too, man.
Right, Eddie Curry. Right. We're going to talk about that. We can talk
about
that
too.
Right.
He went behind his parents' back and did that nonsense. But these young men at this age shouldn't even be doing that, especially dealing with these modern women. You can't. If you're marrying modern women today, you've lost your goddamn mind.
Let me ask you a question. Can a woman be modern but at the same time be traditional? That could be the argument because some are like we're modern but at the same time we're traditional. Are there some women? It would be argued that most women are modern, but they're modern, but also they're very modern in their thought process. I would say more than 70%. But there are, or what I call the remnant of women, that are traditional, but they live in the modern world. What do you think about that? What do you think about that?
I think you can only be. I think women that you can only be traditional. See, but think about the question is: are they raised to be wise?
Right.
So modern, traditional women are raised to be wise. Now, if somebody's looking for a partner, whatever that is, but the biggest thing with the modern women is, do they respect the order of things, men leading the household?
Right.
And the answer to that is 9 times out of 10, no. They want to be in these egalitarian relationship. They want to call the shots.
Right.
And you can't have, it's like a car. You have two steering wheels and somebody's going to crash. One person has to lead. One person has to be the CEO and the XO. So in my opinion, you can't be modern and traditional at the same time. You got to be traditional, and you're not going to get that same respect. Like you see these women with their hyphenated names and so on and so forth. That's not traditional. That's right. That's a modern relationship, and in those
that's a modern relationship, right?
You're not going to get the respect you want as a man. I think if you're talking about modern women today, to be honest with you, I'd take a pass, because you're going to have issues in the household. You're going to have issues with your life, and you're going to always be on that treadmill of happiness and dealing with today's modern women. It's just not going to be a peaceful situation. You know me, peace, quiet. I'm not about all that chaos in the house and dealing with this type of women.
Right. No, I totally agree with you. Shout out to my man, Michael Green, for that $5 super sticker. Thank you, Michael Green. And also to those that are watching, and to the 30 that are watching, guys, get the likes up, get the stream up, share the content. If you don't have anything to donate to the channel, I really appreciate you guys taking the time out of your busy schedule to come watch me and Ingram talk about young men getting stung, but not only young men getting stung, posing the question, are young men husband ready in this very modern time? You guys know, and I know, that once again, Miles Bridges has been accused of domestic violence. We're beginning to see things manifest on screen with Miles Bridges. And also, guys, we're going to go back in time to the show that I did last night, and we're going to teach young men what other cultures more or less demand from their women as it relates to power. The problem with a gynocentric society is that many men have been conditioned to think like how to more or less assuage their women, but also, Ingram, many have been conditioned not to broker and also demand power in relationships. What does power look like to you in a relationship? What kind of way should men be leading in modern times, in your opinion, as it relates to power?
I think power looks like respect. And what that means is when a woman respects you, that determines how well she treats you. In terms of, does she honor your opinion? Is she combative or debating? Does she respect you as a man? And have you earned that respect, first of all, as a man? Right. Or does she respect you, listen to? And how do you know whether a woman respects you? She listens to you. She's not debating you. She's not challenging your masculinity. Then the other thing is she adding any value to your life? Is she making your life easier? Is she giving you the type of love and affection, support, and inspiration that you would expect in a relationship?
Right.
If you're back and forth with a woman all day long, or that woman is creating a situation where she's making you feel uneasy, or I wouldn't say the word insecure about anything, you're not in a healthy situation. And to me, that's, that you need to experience that to be in a situation where you got to have something to lead.
Right.
And if you're being challenged on a weekly or daily basis, and your leadership, she's not submissive to you, and you don't get that cooperation, you can't really lead, because especially if that's being reinforced by the culture and the court of public opinion, social media, and friends and family. Because remember, when you get with a woman, you might as well look beyond her and her family, because you're in a relationship with her family too. And who's in her ear? Her brothers, her sisters, her family members. What kind of advice are they giving her? So you got to also look in those situations. Are you going to be in a position to lead, or are you going to be dealing with a coalition of people that have not been cultured or raised in an environment that understands and respects male leadership?
Right.
And that's the question.
Yeah, and I don't think that we're going to ever get back to that place. It seems like it's getting worse and worse. Let's look at this Miles Bridges situation. Then once again, we're going to go back to a show I did on last night, talking about how men actually broker for power in relationships. As we know, other cultures don't tolerate what our men tolerate. And the fact that we continue to tolerate such sad behavior is an indictment to what's going on there. We need more men that are more actually moving in power, but also demanding what they want from a relationship instead of allowing women to abuse them. And that's why these conversations are important. What could Miles Bridges have done to more or less recuse himself of this situation that he's in now? So we're going to look at the footage, guys. Get the likes up, and Ingram and I, we're going to break this thing down. And then, Ingram, I want you to break things down being a former law enforcement officer. I want you to talk about faulty cases, what you've seen, what you think is fake or true, and then we're going to more or less go from there. So hold tight. Let me get this, share the screen real quick. And I want you to tell the audience what you've seen as a law enforcement officer and how many fake cases that you've seen with this, because I was shocked when I heard it. Hold tight. I was shocked when I heard it. So let's look at this and break this down. Once again, guys, this is fair use. So let me make sure I hit the fair use button. I don't know if they're going to trigger me. So let me hit this fair use, guys, because Miles Bridges now is about to be ego dystonic because he's not going to like what he's about to feel because he's about to lose money, sadly. And that's why men got to be masculine at all times and not allow a woman to get them off their square. And it's easier said than done. I've been there, Ingram, you've been there. But let's look at this Miles Bridges fiasco real quick, and we're going to break it down slowly.
For our Charlotte Hornets, and the bumps just keep coming. One-star player arrested earlier this week. Charlotte Sports Live's Will Kunkel joins us now with what he knows. You just got to keep him in line, Will.
Yeah, it's crazy. Miles Bridges was arrested yesterday for felony domestic violence out in Los Angeles. The alleged assault took place on Tuesday. Law enforcement says the woman required medical attention by doctors.
So Ingram, we're gonna play this and spin it, but I want you to break it down about what you've seen in the legal world or when you were a cop, and how many of these cases are actually true and how many are actually fake.
But by the time the police arrived, Bridges was gone. He turned himself in yesterday afternoon, that about a day later from when it happened, allegedly. The Hornets released a statement today saying they're aware of the situation and are in the process of gathering additional information. Now, this is huge on a basketball front only because Bridges was expected to get a major payday this offseason as a restricted payday that they were going to bring back Bridges. We'll see.
You know, this man was in the prime of becoming a millionaire, a millionaire. But now we don't know what's going to happen. But when you look at domestic violence cases being in law enforcement, we both were in law enforcement. I worked in the prison. You worked as a cop. How many of these cases are actually true? And how many, in your opinion, are actually faked or feigned for the sake of attention?
Well, specifically for this situation, there's situations where there's mandatory arrests that you make at a domestic violence scenes. First of all, if it has an active restraining order. Secondly, if the person has a warrant. Thirdly, if there's any signs of injury to the person, that's a mandatory arrest. So in this scenario, she went on to Instagram and she posted injuries. She hadn't have whatever. Obviously, he left the scene of the situation, but that's a mandatory arrest. You know, depending on which state, and include most state statutes, obviously the Violence Against Women's Bill, that's a mandatory arrest. Mm-hmm. But the situation becomes is that what happened, especially with the Violence Against Women's Act in 1994, it did something to law enforcement. There were situations where there was legitimate domestic violence and abuse, where some guys, the cops would come to the scene, the guy wouldn't get arrested or whatever else. And that was a problem. And that needed to be corrected. Mm-hmm. The problem is sometimes when you correct stuff, you overcorrect the problem, where you change the law to a point where there's no objective reasoning. When you deal with situations, you come to the scene and you're dealing with modern women too. So it went from a situation what I seen shift where there were legitimate issues of domestic violence. And usually the crazy part about it, it's like child support, right? Child support only gets the good guys. You can't get blood out of the stone. You're not going to get Pookie, Ray, Man, Raekwon to pay child support because they don't got no money. Right. So you're only going to get the good guys. So when you deal with the violence against what women have in domestic violence, in many instances, you're not getting the real, I mean, it used to be a situation when it got some abuse. You're not getting the real abuser because you pull up to a scene of domestic violence and you got a real abuser there. If you don't see signs of injuries, that woman is terrified.
Right.
She's not running out the mouth, getting in his face, talking nonsense. And what I see now, what was changed is there's some instances of domestic violence, but there's more situations where the law is being used to punish men, where you come to the scene, she's all in his face, talking about his genitals and all this other stuff, the size of them, and trying to provoke this man to smack her in front of the cops so he can get locked up. Right. I've had situations where women have come downtown to try and get within that restraining order distance so that guy can get locked up. Hey, look, come downtown in the bonnet. Like, hey, look, he's right over there. That's and the guy is just getting on the bus with his lunch pail. He's just trying to go to work. He don't even know she's there. Right. And I point out the restraining orders don't work that way. But they want to get that guy into the system, get him hooked up or something, take revenge on him or do something else. So we switch from situations where laws that were designed to protect women, a lot of modern women, especially these aggressive hyenas, abuse the law, jam dudes up and get them locked up and stuff like that. It's a balance, you have to balance dealing with the law, enforcing the law. And because remember, most of these domestic violence cases, many times, nobody shows up to court many times. Or the woman comes back to court and they drop them, or the cases get dropped, or people back together, they're having sex again. And, the cycle repeats itself over and over again. Right. So a lot of times the police are getting called to these situations, and it's just a situation of control and power and flexing for the hyenas. But you can, many times you can tell when women are being abused, you can see the terror in their face, in their eyes. Like, this guy is a murderer. You gotta, you can always get that sense, but she's not running off the mouth like that with no crazy killer, It's just not happening. Right. No, I agree, man. And yeah, man, it's getting crazy, man, because so many of our young men don't know how to operate. Shout out to my man, I call him the young line. If I'm the old line, the Barbary line, Sir Hill Speaks, the young line. Salute of Sir Hill Speaks.
That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right?
Sir Hill Speaks.
That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right?
And guys, we're going to continue to talk about this topic because Miles Bridges has been stung. And because of him being stung, Ingram, anytime he see anything associated with a woman, he's going to get ego sin. Yeah, he's not going to like the feeling of knowing he had the bag right in his hands, Ingram, but only to fumble it because he didn't know how to move in masculinity. We know that some of these modern women are complicit in the destruction of men. It's a possibility that if he get a good lawyer, similar to Johnny Depp, with the Johnny Depp situation, many thought that Johnny Depp was guilty, but it's not looking good for Miles Bridges. And I pray that things go well, but the way it's looking now, it's not looking good because he fumbled the bag more or less, and he put himself in a bad predicament because he got stung. And every time he see anything associated with a woman and dealing with modern women, he's going to be, once again, he's going to be triggered. And he's going to realize that I should have listened to my brothers. I should have listened to my father. But a lot of these young men don't know how to move, Ingram, because you talked about something, you and I in private, how the hip-hop culture and culture in general influences the psyche of a lot of these young men. And Miles Bridges was raised in a two-parent home, but many times the music that he's listening to, Ingram, sounds just like this.
Yeah, put chain on them balls on my mom. That be broken balls. Kill some of my mom. They back me look like gang. That's on my monkey. Gang. That's on my monkey. Gang. That's on my monkey.
Yeah, he listens to a lot of Raekwon and
yeah, Well, that's hip hop culture now is pure simp culture. But I was looking at one of the messages in the chat. It didn't stop Ray John Rondo, but Ray John Rondo don't have a woman on Instagram with signs of injuries all on her body and talking about being choked out and whatever else. When you have evidence of signs of injuries, it's a mandatory arrest. When you have a restraining order based on an allegation, that's something totally different. When there's no evidence to prove a fact, the fact does not exist. You know, they always talk about no victim, no crime. When you're dealing with an absolutes, when you're dealing with a situation where you're showing evidence matters, and she's showing evidence that she was abused. Whatever happened between, hopefully he gets a good lawyer. Whatever happened at the house, and hopefully he has cameras in his house. But whatever happened at the house, we won't know the facts of that until it all comes public, because right now the narrative is spun only one way in the court of public opinion. But the police had to make a mandatory arrest because she's showing signs of injury. They have to do it with men too. If they go to your house and your nose is bleeding because your wife hit you, and they don't make a mandatory arrest, they should get in trouble for that. You know, obviously you've violated many of the domestic violence laws, but prevention in this situation is more powerful than the cure. The problem is in our culture, we just have a culture. Miles Bridges, I don't know how he got into this situation with this young lady. And in the first place, and obviously whoever's in his corner, whether he even listens to them, didn't help prevent this situation. Right. 24 years old. I don't think this should have been his circumstance where he's in this situation, because again, the biggest thing I think with young men, you can't have this scarcity mindset. I understand love. I understand all those different things, and nobody's thinking rational when they're in love, but you're an NBA player. I mean, the how we value ourselves, you know what I mean? It's very difficult when you get into the emotional and people lose control. Right. But you can't have a scarcity mindset. You got to value yourself more important than some broad where you're putting your hands on somebody or touching somebody. If it gets to the point where it's so toxic that your temper gets to the point where you even considering any type of action that's going to jeopardize your future, you're in a toxic relationship and you got to bolt. If you're even thinking about it, and you got to bolt as a man. If you're even thinking about anything that has negative consequences, getting you in trouble, causing you to lose your job or whatever, and that woman is or you're driving yourself to it or whatever, you got to get up out of that situation. And men have to feel you're not trapped and you have to work that out. Hell no, you get the hell up out of there. You know,
and it's unfortunate, man, you know, because we've seen it happen all too often. Men that had the opportunity to be at the pinnacle of their success, but only to have their dreams and all things caught on hook because they didn't know how to control themselves, but they didn't know how to move in silence as true men move. And now Miles Bridges is about to fumble the bag. Shout out to Top Gun. He told me about the story. And it's unfortunate, you know, because I was looking forward to the Hornets signing Miles to a multi-million-dollar contract, but now Miles Bridges is going to be singing that song by Teddy Pendergrass. The whole world laughing at me, silly fool. He about to be singing that song by Teddy Pendergrass, and it's unfortunate. Let's finish listening to this clip about Miles Bridges, and also Ingram. We're going to talk about why image is so important, because a lot of these young men don't understand the importance of image, and Miles Bridges allow his image to be tarnished drinking something called lean. You heard of lean before, right? Hold tight. So hold tight.
All right, let's go back. Last offseason, the Charlotte Hornets reportedly offered Bridges a 4-year, $60 million contract extension, which he turned down. Now, fast forward to early June, and there was this, a controversial Instagram story posted on Bridges' account of someone holding what appears to be a joint and this drink that he called pink lemonade in a tweet. Now to today, Channel 9 found a police report from the LA County Sheriff's Department.
And so Ingram, lean is like blending in like what? Syrup, what is it, crystal meth or syrup, some kind of syrupy drink?
I don't know what these dudes be drinking nowadays, man. I don't even know what's in that damn thing.
Right. But you're familiar with something called lean, right?
I've heard the term lean. I got to look it up. What's exactly?
Okay.
You know?
All right. Okay. All right.
According to a report from TMZ, Bridges turned himself in to Los Angeles police on charges of felony domestic violence. Now, we're working to confirm TMZ's reporting, but the report goes on to say a woman told officers she was in an argument with Bridges that turned physical and that her injuries required medical attention. Bridges is out of jail on a $130,000 bond.
The Hornets did send out a statement saying they're.
And once again, man, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that Ingram, that this young man has got himself in this crazy predicament. He's about to lose millions of dollars because of this, potentially. Because if the Hornets do bring him back, it's going to be a lot of backlash. It's going to be folks trying to say, so I don't know how they're going to do it, man. I pray that, I hope it's not true because,
right.
and I hope that the woman is not hurt. I don't want to see this woman hurt either because either way, it's bad because the children got to suffer. But I'm going to bring up these disturbing images, man. And this has been recent. And I want you to tell me what you think about it. Hold tight if I can see if I can find it. I want you to tell me what you think about it. We're going to read through this from TMZ because it's yeah. I don't know if she faked these injuries. I don't know, but it don't look like it. But hold tight. Hold tight. Let me see if I can pull this one up as well. Hold tight. Hold tight. Let me see if I can pull the screen up. Yeah. Lou Optic says codeine, cough syrup, and hard candy.
Yes, codeine. I know about codeine. Yeah. The cough syrup. You're talking about the cough syrup drinkers.
Yeah, it's called lean. Thank you, Lou Optic. Thank you, brother. Hold tight. Guys, get the likes up, please. Share the content, please. If you have not donated to the channel, please donate. I appreciate all you brothers listening and watching, ladies too. But share the content as Ingram and I break down this Miles Bridges situation. And while so many men are getting stung, not only in relationships, but they're getting stung in marriages too. I'm a firm believer that men should be husband ready, but many are not husband ready as it relates to power. They're husband ready as it relates to being a servant, but they're not husband ready as it relates to being demanding power. So here's the story. Here are the disturbing images. What's so funny? I'm
laughing at Top Gun. It's super chat.
Yeah, disturbing images, man, of Miles Bridges' wife. And so here it goes. And shout out to Top Gun again. He told me about this story. Top Gun be on it, giving me breaking news. I appreciate for that, brother. But based on what you see, what's your take on the injuries? You think, what's your take? Is it condemning in your opinion?
It's enough for a mandatory arrest. That's for certain. He's going to get locked. It's enough. At the end of the day, she's showing signs of injury. A strange-looking young lady, I would say. No, I don't want to go any comment on that, but what's up with Miles, man? I'm like, what the hell is going on, man? I look like a lady boy. I don't know what's going on over there, but that's another story. She is
right. So shout out to my man Top Gun for that $10 super sticker. Thank you, Top Gun. Top Gun said that although my stinging caused pain, I can now cry tears of joy. I rejoice now. I'm in Colombia this weekend enjoying life and viciously. You may proceed.
Top Gun ain't coming back, man.
Top Gun ain't coming back, man. Have fun in Colombia, man. Have fun, brother.
Top Gun.
Have fun in Colombia, man. Don't break your leg. But anyway, have fun over there, brother. Thank you for showing some love, man, while you're abroad, man. I appreciate that. But we're gonna get right back into it, Ingram, because
I'll be like, Miles, this is what's stressing you out? Man, what is that? I'm like, I want to go at her. I'll stop, coach. I'm like, this is what's stressing you out. Miles needs to smack back at. If I'm his dad, I'm smacking him upside his head. What do you married this chick for? There's something wrong with Miles.
Well, she played ball. So look at these injuries. What do you think, Ingram? Is that a superficial injury in your opinion?
First of all, is that a man or woman's hand? That's a whole other story. But anyhow, let's go. That is an injury. I'm not going to stop. It's a serious matter. But considering that is a woman's hand, it looks like an injury. Yes, that is a serious injury. I mean, he's gonna get it. These are serious injuries.
Those are serious injuries, right?
Oh yeah.
And wow, yeah, man. This is not looking good for Miles Bridges, man. Injuries like that, Ingram, what does that look like? Does that look like kicking or what does that look like in your opinion? Those are serious bruises.
It looked like a huge bruise or trauma. I mean, I don't know what's going on there. I mean, the thing about it is, like, if it gets to this situation, you're in deep trouble. You're gonna, to a point where if it get to this point, it's over. You know what I mean? You have serious signs of physical injury. It's gotten to that point, and the question is, it didn't just start today. What was the build up to this? And
what was the build up?
A long time ago, and these dudes put themselves in bad situations.
Right. I totally agree. Many do put themselves in bad situations, but yeah, this looks sort of rough, man. That looks bad, man. But
and remember, she's putting on social media. She's trying this in the court of public opinion.
Right. She's doing it right.
She's going for the carotid.
Right. It's almost like she's trying to make him pay. And I don't know if she's jealous because, he's a rapper as well. And I don't know if she's doing this because he cheated on her or is cheating on her, or I don't know. But we know that sometimes women fake injuries. There have been women that have taken irons and stuff. They punch themselves in the face. You've seen that, correct? They'll punch themselves in the face, but, of course he's going to be guilty until proven innocent, sadly. You see this wound here. That looks bad, man.
Yeah, it looks awful. It's hard, like a carpet drag.
Right.
She's been dragged on the ground, the carpet.
All right, on the ground. Right. These are bad bruises, man. Damn. Yeah, that's not looking good for Miles, man. If he did it, his ass need to go to jail for it, man. Because in a situation like this, it's better to walk. But wow. But I'm not going to judge the brother yet. Her hands look bruised.
Yeah, that I don't know what went on over there, but it ain't good. It's
not good, right?
He's done. I'll be honest with you. I think I'll be honest with you. I think he's done.
Right. I hope not, but if he is, his ass deserves to go. So let's read through a little bit. The Miles of the mother of Miles Bridges' two children just share several disturbing images of the injury she claimed to have suffered at the hands of the NBA forward, saying she sustained a fractured nose and wrist, severe concussions, and more. Wow. She said, "I hate that it's come down to this, but I can't be silent anymore," Michelle Johnson said in the image on Instagram post on Thursday. "We've allowed someone to destroy my house, abuse me every possible way." TMZ broke the story about Bridges being arrested for felony domestic violence on Wednesday after Johnson claimed that they had an argument that turned into physical. The woman's identity was not revealed at the time, but Johnson's now breaking her silence on the alleged incident, and her version of the story is troubling. And you know what's troubling once again also, Ingram, like you said, she didn't take his last name. A multi-million-dollar player, potentially, and these guys continue to get with these modern women that don't honor and respect them. She's probably a feminist because she didn't take his last name. And, you would have thought that maybe his father was in his ear talking to him, man. Why would Miles Bridges, as you saying, even marry a woman like this? And who to say that she didn't push him? Not saying it's right and not saying he should have put his hands on her. But we don't know if she nudged him in the head or smacked him or whatever herself. We don't know because men get abused too, but most men don't report it.
Right.
But it's sad, man. And you would have thought that after the running back Ray Rice from Baltimore and many other things, these men would listen to the older men talk about relationships and not put themselves in these predicaments. But Michelle says that Miles choked her until she went to sleep, tearing muscles in her neck in the process. Wow. The photos show various marks and bruises on different parts of Johnson's body. Johnson also, hold tight. Johnson also appeared to have appeared to share her medical forms from the emergency room where she is diagnosed as listed as an adult victim of physical abuse by a male partner. The form states that Johnson suffered assault by strangulation, brain concussion, closed fracture of the nasal bone, contusion of the hips, multiple bruises, strain of the neck muscles. I don't need Senator Johnson to say, I just don't want this happening to anyone else. I just don't want this person to get help, and my kids deserve better. Yeah, man, this ain't looking good, man. This ain't.
I would say you're gonna be seeing Miles on the next building when they're doing construction. You'll be like, who's that? That's Miles Bridges up there working construction, hanging off the side of a scaffold, man. I think basketball in the NBA, because you can't brand him. You can't brand him anymore. His brand is tarnished. I mean, obviously, guys have overcome a lot of things, but when you're showing that much injury, I mean, what sneaker company is gonna sign on to that? What commercial he gonna go and what NBA team is gonna have that where people are gonna be protesting? Man, it's not even worth it, because and he's in free agency now. So at the end of the day, that's going to affect him long term. Yes, innocent until proven guilty, but with that type of situation, he can't. That's a hard one to get out. I don't know how he's going to get out of that one. I think he's done, but that's just me speculating. I don't know the facts.
Well, if he's not done, he's definitely gonna lose some major endorsements. He's gonna definitely lose some money. This not looking.
The biggest problem you have is that when men, first of all, if you're in a relationship, man or woman, and it gets to the point where you ever thinking, it ever crosses your head that this person has got you so enraged that you want to do something to them physically, you got to get out of there. Right. You got to get out of there because it's not a good situation, especially if it's repetitive. It's repetitive, where your manhood is being challenged or your masculinity is being challenged or whatever, or a man is abusing you as a woman, or it is really makes you feel threatened and unsafe. You can't be in these environments. There's no working through it. You get the hell up out of there. It's not worth your freedom or losing, your marketability by getting into these relationships. Are supposed to help you and add value to your life and support you, not tear you down and put you in bad situations where you do stupid things to get yourself jammed up.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. And he said that's all I want that hurts. She said, that's all I want that hurts. Everything hurts. The situation hurts. The most important. I'm scared and hurting for my kids who was a witness to everything. So if this is true, these babies are going to go to post-traumatic stress. But we know that sometimes women manipulate the scene. They manipulate the situation. And but Miles did this. This is not looking good for him, man. And you would have thought that he would use more common sense. A transcendental player. If he did this, he needs to get the full extent of the law. And also, And so along with the alleged injuries, Johnson also posted a video that son recounts the alleged attack on his mom. Johnson and Bridges first started dating around 2016, have 2 young children. These are reports that the couple is married. And this is Bridges working out. Hold tight.
When you want the biggest stories, only one name comes to mind.
Welcome to TMZ Live.
We break the stories the world wants to talk about first. Accurate news and enthralling stories from the heart of Hollywood straight to you.
Joining us right now, Dr. Dre.
I'm still buzzing from it a little bit. I'm kind of hungover, Harvey.
Good. Outside one.
And so I'm going to ask you a question, man. You've seen many domestic abuse cases. What percentage would you say were real, and what percentage were exaggerated when you were a cop?
When I first began, about 80% were real.
Okay.
When I left, about 80% were fake.
Oh,
so
really?
It switched. Yeah, I think it switched way switched, the pendulum switched, because it became a situation of where the police went on autopilot, especially when you put those body cams on somebody's chest. Because there's no real penalty for making a mistake with arresting a guy. If I arrested you because of domestic violence, it's not like you could sue me. And it's immunity from that. So guy, you just saying that we'll just take a body. They don't fight it in court. But at least you keep those, radicals off your back. And there's no real penalty for women filing false complaints, because they don't want to, the mentality is you don't want to victimize a victim.
Right.
So people were getting arrested back and forth and thrown in jail, of accusations of fake stuff. Nobody's looking that deep. They're just going to protect the woman. And the quickest way to do that is to lock you up, throw you in jail, or take away your guns. And I think that got on autopilot for a while, because like I said, there's never, there's not a lot of instances of women getting prosecuted for filing false reports. It just doesn't happen. So what I see now is domestic violence. There's real domestic violence where women are people are legitimately abused. There's men who never report domestic violence that are happening to them because they'll get shamed. But more likely, domestic violence now is being used to punish.
Right. Explain that to the audience from a cop perspective. Being a former police, explain that.
Well, what happens is, there's relationship problems, and a guy could be in the house. I'll call the cops on you, and now you're being called to the house to put fear in that man, because it's like it's like calling. It's like her big brother is John Gotti, and he's calling him. You know what I mean? You're going to put fear in a guy because he doesn't want to lose his freedom, or put himself in a situation where he has a problem with the police and end up getting shot. So really, it's almost like terrorism to that guy in a relationship with dealing with these combative modern. Because remember, many times a lot of black men are in jail because some women have put them in jail because of child support or domestic something, or calling the cops on them, or ratting them out, or he got some, he's got heroin in the back or some nonsense like that. And it always ends up in that situation where the cops are being used as like a bully. It's about power and control. And in many instances, that's what has changed quite a bit. Now, I mean, there's still legitimate issues of domestic violence. Like, obviously, there's a domestic violence issue here, and but you see a lot of situations now where a lot of times it's a setup.
Yeah, I agree, sadly. And this, guys, is going to be even more incriminating against Miles Bridges. Sadly, he's going to make his situation look even worse because you're not going to be able to recuse yourself from that. And Ingram, you talked about music being a big influence on a lot of these young men. People don't believe that negative music can influence a person. But once again, guys, the topic on this show is tonight is, are many men being stung, pun intended, no pun intended, in relationships because they don't know how to move in power? We see it many times in relationships. Miles Bridges committed many heinous offenses. He allowed a modern woman not to take his last name. She didn't respect him. And so that's what happens when you get with modern women that are egalitarian and they don't respect heteronormative masculinity. This young man is going to lose a lot of money. And who's to say, even though it don't justify him putting his hands on her, but who's to say she wasn't verbally abusive to him? Who's to say she didn't punch him or nudge him? Who's to say it? But men are always expected to, put away their humanity for the sake of being men. I got something else it's even more disturbing, about Miles Bridges, because this is what his son was saying. Ingham, hold tight. We're going to show you the file with his little boy. His little boy was actually saying that he was upset about what his dad did. So hold tight. Hold tight.
Daddy choked mommy.
Daddy choked mommy? Why?
Because he needed to fight together.
Well, what did you do?
As I smacked him, and Daddy doesn't be nice.
You hit him and told him to be nice? What did he do that for, though?
They were fighting each other.
Where's your mommy's phone?
It's from the window.
He throwed it out the window?
Yeah, Daddy did it.
He threw her phone out the window? Where'd he put her shoes?
Throw it out the window.
Oh my gosh, why?
Because he wasn't being nice. As I smack him though.
Yeah, that's not very nice. You have to be nice to people.
Now hold tight. He said something about smack him though. Was he talking about the mama or was he talking about him? Because based on this, do you think they're trying to set him up, Ingram, in your opinion?
Ooh, Miles, based on this, he's done. To be honest with you, and the part thing is disturbing. Right. It's disturbing to have a child have to be put in this situation in the first place. Mm-hmm. And the interview, I don't know who's interviewing him. Is that I don't know what's going on, but to have this put out in the public sphere, it's disturbing to be. It's very disturbing. Miles Bridges let's just put it. He's dropped the bag, man. He screwed up royally. I don't see how he gets out of this. I don't see how he turns this around. And his child had to witness this nonsense. Again, a lot of these dudes put themselves in these bad situations. They do stupid things, and they operate out of their emotions like women do. Mm-hmm. Many times. And that's a sad reality. We see it in the community. We see it everywhere. And like I said, Miles Bridges, I don't want to, it's this type of mentality is absolutely ridiculous.
No, right. But I heard her say something about the little boy sounded like she hit him. But GCLA said the spouse abuse law is a very thin line because I became a jury foreman to acquit a young brother. The police pressured the girl to sign an accusation document. So wow. So yeah, that's something. What's your take on that?
Well, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's easier to, if you've arrested somebody and charged them, you've done something.
Mm-hmm.
They can never come back and say the police didn't do something, because there's many instances in the past where the police would leave the scene, a guy ended up killing a woman or hurting a woman, and that's a legal problem. So the idea, you have to protect women, and that's just the way how the system is set up. So in this scenario, in this situation, I mean, Miles is done. I mean, it's just really is done. You have a little kid on here too talking. He's done.
Mm-hmm.
He's done. I mean, it's done. He's done. His actions are what they are. He's going to be charged, and she's going to push for it. But to put himself in this situation, some of these guys, they allow themselves to be put in these situations in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, it's in the culture, it's in the music, it's in the mentality, it's in the absence of anybody really masculine in that corner that's able to tell them things, and it's not really concerned about whether or not they're going to be pushed out of their circle or not going to become a part of the money. Because a lot of people hang around these guys looking for handouts.
Right.
And they're enablers. They're not telling these guys, look, you're a moron, man. You need to knock that shit off. Because like I said, I see it a lot of times, and even from having a kid that plays sports, and even Charles Barkley talk about it. These guys have entourages, whatever, all of them trying to be rappers. I don't know what the hell kind of rap is that. They're all trying to be rappers and make rap CDs and shit. Like, yo, you're a multi-millionaire making millions of dollars a year. You worry about stuff. That's the strangest thing about our culture. Like, for instance, the tail always wagged the dog. You don't see, I don't want to sound terrible, you don't see white people allowing the trailer parks to determine what's cool and what's hip. They wouldn't allow it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Cooter ain't deciding what's cool in the white community. You got the black community have the hood determining what's cool and what's hip. And they don't do that in the white. So you have all this dysfunctional mentality being, regurgitated in the music and the mentality. Jim Bob is not determining what's cool in the white community. They're not trying to. They're not aspiring to be the best Jim Bob out here. So these dudes be trying to be like, have this hood mentality, trying to be the hoodest dudes out here. That corny, nonsense, man.
Yeah. Taylor Joss said that she had envy towards Miles making millions, and what she's bringing, she could not handle that power dynamic. And I've heard women say, Ingram, too, that sometimes they were intimidated by a man making more money. The young brother Eugene Allen talked about how his wife was jealous because he was making more money or making good money, and many would try to sabotage a man for doing that. Top Gun said, Ash, I want to ask you a question. He said, the question for you, Ingram, in your opinion, is this about women on the AAU privilege mentality?
It's about both of them, because once again, you get to a certain level of talent and ability. What happens to a lot of these kids, man, you see kids even with AAU, when they get to a certain level of talent, I see grown ass men and talking to kids, that's my homie, and this. You're a grown ass man. What are you talking to a little kid for, man? Like you're equal or something like that. And the problem is that these guys go to these colleges, they have promise, and once you start getting that potential and that prospect of becoming a pro, you still got those same dudes, those ball riders that hang around AAU teams and the successful teams and Nike and Under Armour, Adidas, and so on these circuits. They're enablers. It's very rarely you're gonna have a masculine guy in your corner. You're gonna have a lot of dudes that follow behind you, that enable stuff, that tell you stuff, but nobody's really holding you accountable for things. And that's the biggest problem. And they, like I said, they don't want to be cut out of the attention and validation. They don't want to be cut out of the fame thing, taking pictures with Miles Bridges, showing up, hey, I know Miles Bridges and whatever else. They don't want to be cut out of the loop. So they're going to say things and agree with him and behave in a manner to be agreeable to be in his presence, as opposed to telling him to go F himself because he's doing some stupid shit.
Yeah. I totally agree, man. Accountability is everything. And whoever's in Miles' ear, man, definitely didn't listen to him. You know, PJ Washington got caught up in a scandal last year about Brittany Renner. Montrezl Harrell, he got screwed himself over with having so many pounds of marijuana. And now this, man, and what looked like a very dominant, powerful Charlotte team, yeah, it's looking crazy. It's looking real scary now, man. The money he had, he just fumbled the bag. Let's finish listening to what this little boy is saying, but I don't know if he said, sound like he said something about the mom hitting him, but hold tight.
Yeah, that's not very nice. You have to be nice to people.
Hold tight.
He threw her phone out the window. Where'd he put her shoes?
Throw it out the window.
Oh my gosh, why?
Because he wasn't being nice. Yes, I smack him though.
Yeah, that's not very nice. You have to be nice to people.
And so he said something about he smacked him though. So I wonder what he was talking about.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know what he was talking about in that scenario. But once again, this is not looking good for Miles Bridges. And this is what happens when men don't have a community of older men guiding and leading these young men. Are these young men coachable in your opinion, Ingram, from what you've seen with a lot of these young brothers? Are they coachable? Meaning, you know,
they are. They are coachable, but you have to get them and you have to be willing to lose. You have to be first of all, you have to be a man about things. They are young men. They're not your friends. Your position is to direct them, to lead them. I don't care how much money they're making. Coach Ingram is going to curse you out if you step out of line and start doing dumb things. I'm a man first. You could be making millions a year. I'm not gonna pander to you. The problem is with our community is that we're so afraid of telling the truth. We're so afraid of holding people accountable. We allow them to live these mediocre type life without correcting them because we're afraid to move out of favor with them. And when you did this show last time, nobody cares about the truth. And people get in their feelings and all these other stuff. But that's a big problem because we see people that are interested in manipulating people. And these young men have a lot of money. They're exposed to a lot of money. And like I said, people are afraid to tell them the truth because in many instances, the young men respect you for being real with them. Right. Because they know you don't care about benefiting from them. But it should never have gotten to this point. I don't know what the situation is with his parents, whether he has a father in his life or what he's raised by a single mom. I don't know the full background for him, but I mean, it's critical that you have people in your corner that can help. I think all men, like you talk about the 7 steps a man must go through.
Right.
I think young men needs to go through those 7 steps. And being married at 24 years old, you know, I did it young, but at the end of the day, it's not advisable for these young men. They shouldn't be doing that. They should be over 30, at least minimum, if they're on their purpose and they're doing what they're supposed to do, instead of worrying about wife and family at this age.
Yeah. And once again, the news is still coming in. You know, no more or less than what we said, but yeah, man, it's not looking good. Damn, I just don't get these guys, man. You about to make the most money you ever had, and you damn.
Yeah, but you understand, like, Coach, these dudes surrounded by a bunch of fools. Remember, they don't have nobody like me or you, or even some of the guys in this chat in their ears. You know what I mean? They have the same dudes. Sometimes they have the same dudes with the same mindset that they say, well, this is my homie from back in the day. And they're hanging around them. So they're not really dealing with especially in the Black community, they don't have a lot of dudes that are like going to just tell them right out the back, you know, how to move and how to operate. And the ones that do listen, you see, or that are very successful, they know how to put that barrier between them and the hood, them and these dudes, and them and these entourages, and people that don't tell them the truth. You know, who you surround yourself with and your circle of people can make you or break you, man. And I know we individuals, we make our own decisions, but I see a lot of these young people, they surround themselves with some dudes that are just on there for the ride, or just want to be able to put Instagram pictures up or Facebook pictures up that I know this person, but they really don't mean them any good.
Right. No, I totally agree, man. And that's why accountability on both sides is important, but also men being with other men that will hold them accountable. You know, imagine if Miles Bridges had brothers that got in his ear and said, yo, man, that ain't cool. Because now, man, he just not only they fumble the bag, but I don't know how he might even go to jail for it, man, because they say it's felony charges. But let's go to another topic that's been in the YouTube algorithm for a while. And thank you to the guys that are watching, guys. Please share the stream. But then we're about to talk about the McDonald's massacre. We're going to talk about the McDonald's massacre, man, because, you know, what you're seeing now is sad. You know, some said that this was a skit. It was fake. I don't know. But even if it was a skit, it's true to say that art imitates life. And in this McDonald's massacre, you see this woman berating her man. I mean, this guy got a baby by this woman that was a single mother, but she's berating him and disrespecting him in a very negative way. And we're going to look at it, Ingram, and break it down. But in the meantime, shout out to my man Doberman for the $2 super sticker. He said Melo had a good dad. Now he's dressing like that clown thug, right? And, you know, that's where it goes. You can have good parents, and it's no guarantee your kids won't go astray. But let's look at this McDonald's massacre, Ingram, and what would you told your son on how to deal with women like this? And, you know, many times when men hear women talk about single moms, it's a difference between a baby mama, a single mother, and a widow. I'm going to say it again. It's a difference between a baby mama, a single mother, and a widow. The baby mama is what Mr. Palmer called the baby mama terrorists. You know, they're horrible. And they're very violent. And, you know, she already had, 4 kids by 4 or 3 different men. And I don't know why she was so upset, but we're going to break it down because this is crazy, man. This is extremely crazy. The way this woman disrespected this man and what I like to call the McDonald's massacre. So let's talk about it and tune in. This has been live and viral on YouTube, and we're going to break it down together, Ingram.
Every day, my baby daddy come here with one meal for my child. But I have 3 other kids. We have 1 kid together, but he only want to come and bring one thing to McDonald's. But what about my other kids? How come you can't feed my other kids from McDonald's though? Like that's bogus as hell. Like you're not finna sit here and make my other kids feel left out, and you're only bringing one child something to eat. Look, there you go. And I bet you he only got 1 thing in there. I bet you he don't even. I'm finna expose out of him so people can see how he really is. It ain't more than enough food in that bag for everybody.
So once again, they said it was a skit. I don't know how true it is. But this is the McDonald's massacre, man, with this machine. Tommy Sotomayor called it a BMT 100. Shout out to Tommy. But you know, the level of delusion, man. You know, the level of delusion is appalling. It's very appalling. And I've never seen in England in my lifetime why so many women have these illusions about what they deserve and what they want. But it's definitely a clear case of this. It's definitely Ego Centonia at his finest. Shout out to my man, Cincinnati Red, for that $5 super sticker. Thank you, Cincinnati Red, brother. I appreciate that. But what are you gathering, man, in your mental clock when you hear this very verbose lady berating this young brother? And tell the audience once again why you so against baby mama terrorists like her. Shout out to Mr. Palmer for coining that, the baby mama terrorist. But why are you so much against modern women like this woman that's very wicked, but also very disrespectful as she berates this man?
Well, there's the first problem is there is no shame. That she's saying this proudly and with a sense of tremendous entitlement. But you think about the shame and the embarrassment a woman would have had 60 years ago. I mean, social media has created monsters. And like I say, attention is a dangerous drug. And they live off attention and validation. But it shows the mentality of pure garbage that exists in the hood mentality. But also it shows that the entitlement and the entitlement expectations of some of these outrageous ghetto single moms and some of these single moms with multiple kids from multiple different baby dads. And it shows a lack of accountability on the part. Not all single, I say single moms are not bad, but these baby mama, this is a baby mama. Multiple fathers, multiple daddies. And it shows the level of just utter lack of shame, lack of responsibility. Like, she has no problem, even in this video as you watch, talking about how her food stamps hasn't come in. Obviously, she's on welfare. She's got the fake lashes, the fake hair. But I don't know whether the dude's a hood dude or just a dude that was just pounding away in the hood and got caught up. But either way, he's in a pickle right now because he impregnated an entitled hood chick. He picked the low-hanging fruit and he's going to be punished for it. But the reality of life is this is just absolutely horrible from all different aspects. I can't find any. It's really embarrassing, to be honest with you, because it's not that I care what people think, but they think that all Black people are like this. We operate like on this frequency.
Right.
This is just ghetto, low life stuff. And once again, the entitlement that she has is just outrageous.
Yeah. I call it the Mcdonald's massacre because many men have been stung by violent women like her. They've been stung because they don't know how to demand power in relationships. And women like this are very toxic. And, you know, this is the kind of woman you would tell your son to stay away from because a lot of times women like this woman use men for resources and also use men to take care of their kids. And a man can't build his legacy or empire on women like her because this woman doesn't care about this man, you know. And some said she got upset because he was still having sex with her, but that still doesn't make her entitled to bring her food for her kids. And, you know, you had a couple of simps saying that he should have bought food for all the kids. And but anyway, we're going to finish looking at the whole type, man. We're going to look at the Madonna's massacre, man, because this is crazy, man. Hold tight.
What's up? Because I'm finna expose you. What? Because that don't look enough for all my kids. That don't look enough for all my kids. What is that? That's just one burger? One burger, one fry? What he like? What do you mean? Okay, what about my other kids? What about your other kids? Okay, but them your kids' siblings, though.
And listen how loud and masculine she is, Ingram. No level of feminine decorum. Her energy is very low vibrational, man. And I don't know why young men get themselves caught up with women like this. Once again, some said it was a skit. What you're seeing, you know, is it a skit or is it just art? Is it art imitating life or is it real in your opinion?
Skit or art imitating life, that is the real. And the reality of it, you know, those are just savage sometimes, but why would this woman be mated with? Why are you mating with that creature? I don't understand why any man would mate with that creature. I have no idea. But obviously, I don't know the quality of man he is, but you start mating with trash women like that, you asking for problems. Then he went in there raw. We know that as a fact. How many times he went in there raw, we don't know. But at the end of the day, this is pure. You know, I mean, but the confidence and the level of, like, she's trying to put him on blast for a dysfunctional life. She's dysfunctional. And the whole thing is just complete failure, you know, absolute failure, period. Failure on his part because he put himself in a pickle dealing with that type of woman in the first place. But
yeah, I totally agree. He definitely put himself in a pickle, right?
The fact that she's so comfortable in her trashiness, and the fact that he over there, a guy like that, he needs to go ahead and file for custody of that kid and get that kid out of there. I mean, there's no positive that's going to come from that. And then you're dealing with a situation of entitlement. It's just garbage, man. What are you going to produce from the situation with that type of mentality with those 4 kids? What's going to come from that?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, nothing's going to come from it, man. And it's unfortunate because now these children are being bred in poverty and dysfunctional. We see it all too many times. You know, as a therapist, you know, we talk about something called protective factors. And when kids don't have the proper protective factors, not only do they get stung, Ingram, but the mom that's trying to take care of those kids often raise them in environments that are not conducive to their mental wellness and their mental well-being. And a lot of kids are dealing with trauma because, Ingram, they're being placed in environments where they can't be healthy and whole. And this kind of stuff needs to stop. We need parents that are more responsible. And, you know, so many will be bemoaning about Roe v. Wade, but you can see why, some would say that, continue to have kids out of wedlock is not conducive to the family or a lot of our communities. Well, I'm going to finish listen to what this guy's saying. Hold tight.
Them my kids, them your kids' siblings, though. So my other kids finna be left out.
You didn't feed them?
You know I don't get my food stamps to the 7.
Lisa, how is that my problem?
But if you're trying to help out, though, you're not helping out.
I'm not trying to help. I'm trying to help my son.
But how are you helping your son when you're only getting food for just him and not the other kids, his siblings?
Lisa,
them are his siblings,
Lisa,
though. He's not finna eat in front of all his other siblings, and they're not eating on McDonald's. Why do I gotta bring him out to the car?
Now, the man said bring him out to the car. He was talking about bringing his son now, Ingram. He said bring him out to the car. You know, what was wrong with that? What was wrong with him bringing his son to the car, Ingram, and allowing him to come out and eat some food?
Right. Well, that would surrender control, because at the end of the day, she wanted to control the situation, and she wanted to get resources for all of her kids. And that was her way to muscle him. It was about power and control. So even when he offered a compromise, it was not unacceptable for her. So she basically holds his kids hostage to try and extract resources from him for the other kids, which is absolutely pathetic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is pathetic, man. And that's why I said men are not conditioned to be husbands. Neither are they conditioned to be brokers in relationships. They give too much of their power away. I said it earlier, we're conditioned to be servants, and we're ready as relates to provide the many average men. We're not saying all, but in general, they're not conditioned to demand power in the relationship. And sadly, if Miles Bridges had got him a traditional conservative woman versus the woman that didn't take his last name, he wouldn't have been in that predicament. Once again, it doesn't justify his behavior, but this young man messing with this violent woman that had 3 kids prior to him, and they're her being entitled, that she thinks that he's supposed to take care of his kids, her kids, by other men. And, you know, she should be grateful that the man came by and at least took care of his his child. But it's a reason those other 3 men left. But let's finish listening to it.
No. He's not finna eat that shit at all if you can't bring enough for everybody.
So you're telling me that I got.
And, you know, it shows parts where she took it and threw it away. Actually, they cut it off. But she threw it away, Ingram. She threw the food away. She was very upset because she thought she was entitled to getting food from this man. And we see it all too often. Have you ever seen a time, Ingram, where so many of our women have been, how can I say it, so entitled? Where does entitlement mess come from?
Well, you know, obviously it comes from the culture. We were raised in a situation where first one, many Black men are not respected in the culture.
Right.
We're only seen as servants to women. I mean, we were raised with 75% of 80% of our kids are born to single parent household. So we're raised in this matriarchal culture that Black men's value is only when they're acting like servants or servants to women, regardless of whether they have virtues or not. So we're just seen as these objects, these utilities we're seen as pure utilities and servants to Black women. And they don't have to offer any value. They don't have to be honorable, respectable, or whatever. And we're supposed to clean up the mess, especially the mess created by undisciplined behavior. And we're supposed to accept women without any standards.
Right.
And we're supposed to sacrifice ourselves for the betterment of women, community, and whatever else, regardless of whether they respect us, treat us well, or any of those things, or have any standards of morality. They just want Black men to just be blindly giving away their resources and be used as utilities. Just a lack of respect for men in general, Black men in particular.
Right. It is a lack of respect, man. And we see it happening all too often, many times in the media, where many fathers are being berated. Many times we see it in the churches where the preachers more or less accost a lot of the men. And we also see it and sometime in social media where the men are being berated and the men are being more or less diminished. And Gregory Scholars said that a number of women in the manosphere don't like, particularly when men on these platforms speak on single moms, body count, SYSBM, or submission. And that goes back to having control. My logic is this: fair exchange back in the past, Ingram, what many don't understand, they say they want a man to pay all the bills and be traditional. Well, okay, we're fine. Fair exchange for men in the past was virgin to low bodies, no children, and being wife ready. But you got women now that have had a lot of fun. And you talk about being viciously and vigorously pounded. And you were doing
pounded out hard. But the problem is this: like, even though these women, many of them been viciously pounded out hard, high mileage, multiple kids, they still think that they're the prize.
Yeah, and they're the prize.
They're doing you a favor by getting in a relationship with you.
Right.
And if you say, hell no, I don't want to be in a situation where I'm messing with you and taking care of your kid, they look at you like, oh, well, you're not a man. They're trying to man shame you. Well, you're not a real man, because a real man don't care about. So they'll try and shame you into being in a bad situation as a utility.
Right.
And question your manhood. And that's the reverse psychology that you see in the community. So if a guy ever looks out for his best interest, then they try to demonize him and make him feel like, he's whatever, and shame him or call him names. And like I just say, dealing with many of them, not all single moms are the same. It's a bad deal.
Right. It is
a terrible deal. You're not going to get any respect. And not only that, the moment you try and hold one of these kids accountable, see, you're only good for the money. You're not good for the leadership. You're not good for the opinions, because you try and discipline one of those kids, they're going to jump on your ass. All of a sudden, you're like, well, you're not this. And we seen a situation where the son husband was, the video a couple of weeks back, where the son husband, the guy was telling him it's time for him to go. He's 29 years old. He's telling him you can go. So it is you can't tell them nothing. So why would you put yourself in a situation where you're dealing with another man's seed? You're only there for the resources. You're not getting the respect. It's just a negative. You can't hold those kids. You can't discipline them. You can't do anything with them. And the reality of this is that you've just demoted yourself to second-class treatment.
Right. Second-class treatment. Right.
Why would you do that to yourself?
Right. And that's why these conversations are so important. Shout out to my man, MC Recovery and Wellness, for that $5 super sticker. Thank you, MC Recovery and Wellness. He said, my little sister cracked me up today with a Facebook post of a hamburger cut in 4 pizzas and divided the French fries. That's funny. Yeah, and then shout out to my man GC from LA. I appreciate it, brother. Thank you, guys, for that generous for that $5 super sticker. But here's the backlash or the response from this lady, man. And once again, we talk about Ego Centonia, Ingram, and we're going to look at her response to why she did what she did. I don't know if it's true or if it's justified or not, but here's the backlash, and also here is her response to doing what she did in that particular scenario. Hold tight.
So the whole world is basically bashing me.
All right. So Ingram, now anytime you tell the truth, it's bashing. What happened, Ingram, to the truth being the truth for the sake of being the truth? instead of the truth being bashing? What happened?
Well, the truth is what their feelings say is the truth. They don't care about the truth. They care about what their feelings agree with. First of all, just the image of her alone with those snuffleupagus eyelashes, the damn weaving it up, and she put on a little too much foundation. But just to look at her alone,
right.
That will drive me crazy. Just looking at them eyelashes, those snuffies, and just and the fingernails. Obviously, it is what it is, man. But the truth for them is whatever they feel is the right thing being said to them. Because at the end of the day, that's what they live by, their feelings. They don't care about truth. If you tell them the truth, you're a hater or you're judging me.
Right.
And they don't want to live by any kind of accountability. So everything you say to them that truth is accountability, they don't want accountability. You're judging them, you're hating on them, and they don't even care about it. It used to be a point where you can tell people the truth and they'll at least accept it. Modern women don't care nothing about the truth, and the coalition will back them up.
Yeah. It's the delusion, man. It's the delusion that we talked about, and once again, the loser is also tagged to this. Yeah, they can't hear Ingram because they are deaf. And it seems like as we're getting older and older, man, it's getting worse and worse. But let's finish listening to this hyena, man, because she's definitely a modern day
That's
hyena.
a hyena. That is damn sure a hyena. That ain't no woman, man. That's a hyena.
Let's go back and just a little bit.
Yeah. You talk about that's.
And Ingram, that goes back to many times when men deal with women like her that have kids already. He's going to be expected to be a utility. He's going to be expected to be a utility. Right.
That's all you are, because you think about it, in a situation where well, first of all, I don't know what the guy's personal situation is in terms of how he is as a man, but if you're messing around with this mess I see on the screen, I don't know what's going on. You're doing pretty bad. It's rough, man. In that situation, you're going to be nothing more than a utility.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, man. We're beginning to see it all too often, man. And then when men like us speak up against, then all of a sudden, they'll say, that we're cruel. But no man should have to be responsible for taking care of her kids, no more than a woman. And I'm taking care of a man that got kids, but you got to take care of her kids, even though the relationship is over. It makes no sense, man.
That's petty. Like, it's not fair. Like, you're not finna give one child McDonald's and not all the other kids McDonald's. Like, I'm not going. And then on top of that, you mean to tell me you can dib and dab and want to do it sometimes, but yet you can't feed all my other kids McDonald's though?
So she weaponized, or she more or less saw her body just because he was having sex with her off and on, even though it's mutually beneficial. But she think just because she's getting sex from him that she's entitled to his money. What's your take on this foolish thinking, man, about women thinking they're entitled to a man's money just because they have sex with him? What's your take on that?
Well, that's just the mentality, and obviously, hey, the question I would have to ask her is this: well, can he come over and if one of those other kids misbehave, can he come over and spank one of them? That'd be my question. Since it's good enough for him to pay the money, that could be over there. But again, she's having sex with the guy, and she's expecting this guy to take care of other men's kid. And this is just the mentality that you have in that type of environment. But he the one put himself in that bad situation. I mean, that's a situation where you got to run from, man.
Right.
You smashing down the hood. You're not supposed to be making no relationships out of it. If you dabbling down there in the dirt, you better wear 2 condoms and exit out. Don't come back. You know what I mean? But this dude came back for 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 10th, and even made babies down there.
Right.
It's outrageous, man. But this is the type of mentality that you have with someone like that. They're not even thinking logically because they've grown up in this type of environment. That's all they know. That's her level of thought. And like I said, all she sees is, remember, she talked about being on food stamps and welfare and all this other stuff. First of all, she has time for all this stuff. Why is she even on social media? She should be looking for a job and get her lazy ass out and get a job, man, instead of being down there making them babies.
Mr. Palmer said Walmart is always hiring. Shout out to him.
Yeah, it was like sucking up that welfare money. She need to go out there and get a job, man. That's what she need to do. Get her bum ass off her ass making babies and go get a job.
Yeah. It's crazy, man. And the dysfunction continues. Keep listening. Hello.
That's what you mean to tell me? Like, I'm not going for that. I'm going to stand on what I said, and I don't care what everybody else have to say about it. Y'all could judge me. Oh, well, I could be the villain, but I said what I said. Like, if you can't bring everybody McDonald's, then can't nobody have McDonald's then. Period.
And you know, it just proves that you can't love your child. You can't love your children, because in a scenario like this, why would you punish one child for the sake of others? That man is not responsible for her 3 kids, but you're going to throw away food because he didn't give McDonald's to her kids, her other kids, by Raekwon the Man. And, you know, it's sad because it seems like women love, you know, dusty men like this to get them knocked up, you know, and it's obvious that the men that she was dealing with, the ones in the past, either left her or whatever. Shout out to my dear friend, Dr. McCoy. What's up, dear? But you know, it's sad, man, you know, like you said, snuffleupagus eyelashes, you know, loud and violent, have no sense of self-awareness. The entitlement is unreal. Right. And, you know, men that get with women like this, Ingram, often, if they do marry them, often Ingram is feeling this.
Well, but you know, you also got to consider some dudes will do anything to get laid, man. They'll do anything to get laid. Right. They will take that low-hanging fruit. They will go after women with no standards just to get laid, man. And what happens is some guys will accept anything. And who would accept this type of woman except with a certain type of guy, man? And that's, again, she's used to leveraging her body. And I bet you with a woman like that, she probably got the simps in her DM. Oh, yeah. Like, oh, baby, you right. You know, can I come over tonight? I'll feed those kids. You know what I mean? They want to pound it too. You know, so really there's no accountability because some simp is gonna mosey on over there and buy that food. He's like, well, I'll buy that food. I'm coming over tonight. You know what I mean? Or she has a coalition of other women that are like her. So the simps are gonna. The problem is the damn simps, man. That's really the problem. They enable women like that. Someone's gonna buy that food, and someone's gonna pound it out. Probably tonight, as we speak, she's probably getting pounded out. Some guys making a deal. You know what I mean? I'll buy that McDonald's tomorrow. Oh my goodness! Wow. You know, I'll take them all to IHOP. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Simps.
The simps are the problem, man. The simps are just totally ridiculous. They have no standards.
Yeah, man. The Sims are definitely messing up the ecosystem, man. They're causing his hyena hysteria. I call it hyena hysteria. They're definitely. I might have to do a show called the hyena hysteria, man. But they're definitely causing. They're definitely causing the hyena hysteria, man. And because of this, a lot of these modern men are not. You know, they're not ready to be. They're not husband ready. You know, a lot of these modern men are not husband ready, and it's showing, Ingram. It's showing in many ways, and it's unfortunate because once again, so many men they compromise their power in relationships. They don't demand anything, instead of demanding power, they continue to allow the women to disrespect them and not show them a level of honor and respect that they're worthy of, and the cycle. It continues, man. It's a continual cycle where these men are getting caught up in the same behavior that's caused them to be broken in the past. I'm going to drop the link and allow some of the brothers to come up, man. You've done an awesome job, Ingram, man, talking about this hyena hysteria and also the McDonald's massacre. And we see it all too often, man. You know, we do these shows to empower young men, to teach men how to change how they think about thinking, and to see the examples of dysfunction that we're currently seeing here now in America. Guys, the link has been dropped. Feel free, men or women, to come on. Once again, this show is dedicated to male empowerment, so keep that in mind. We love all men, but I do have a special place in my heart for the empowerment of Black men. And so this conversation needs to be addressed. So, guys, the link has been dropped. Let's have a conversation. If you got any question you want to ask the Ingram Experience, feel free to ask, because we're beginning to see this dysfunction all too often. I might do a show soon actually talking about marriage, talking about Modern Men Marriage Ready, and use some of the clips from this show and blend it in and have a conversation. But the link has been dropped. Guys, feel free to add to the conversation about what you're seeing from this delusional, but also very deranged woman. Ingram, when you talk to your boys, man, what are your sons saying about what they see in behavior in a lot of these modern women? What are your sons saying, man?
Well, you know, I started working with them years ago in terms of putting a certain mindset in them with modern women. And I explained to them very, very simple. You can't, you know, what you tolerate is what your life becomes. And what you accept is what your life becomes. So if you deal with women with a certain type of mindset, we talk about feminist women, we talk about women with a certain type of mentality and attitude, and you can identify them very easily. And then we talk about the type of women that have been around the block, that have experienced a lot of situations, because we talk about how people become imprinted upon by having multiple partners and so on and so forth. And those are not the type of women you want to be having a serious relationship with long term. And you shouldn't really be, and to me, my position to them is, I don't want to hear about you getting married or being in any serious relationship until you're over 30. You need to be working hard, be on your grind, be on your purpose, trying to build a life for you. These are very important earning years where you need to be working hard, working on your purpose. I don't want you to be distracted by women, especially these modern women. And if you're going to get married to somebody, you want to find a traditional woman, perhaps a woman from another country or somewhere, something that's totally different from what's out here in the street. You're not going to have a peaceful life if you deal with any of these modern women, get married to any of them, and bring them in the house and try to build a household with them. They're not raised to be wives. So build yourself. Wait until you're after 30. Go out here. If you want to find yourself a quality wife, find a woman that's been raised to be a wife. Don't bring any modern women in the house.
Yeah, I totally agree. What does a traditional woman look like to you, Ingram, and deed and service? What does she look like?
If you want to talk about traditional woman, you just go to the Bible and look at Ruth. And you want to talk about a woman that's virtuous, the one woman that's adds value to your life in terms of her inspiration, her character, her support, her femininity, how she carries herself, how she represents herself. Those are the type of women that are valuable, you know. And if she doesn't have those types of virtues, I don't consider her really a traditional woman. If she has the mentality of, I'm going to serve the man, and in return, he's going to give me provision, protection, security, maintenance, and so on and so forth, and love, that's to me is a traditional woman. If a woman comes from that type of mindset, if a woman comes from a mindset of we're going to be partners, or I'm going to be hyphenating my name,
or not taking your name,
combative type mentality, or feminism, or she sees her career and her job as her number one priority as opposed to family and that man. And I don't think that's a good situation for a man to be in. You know, women play an important role in maintaining a peaceful home. If she's can help you maintain a peaceful home, she's a valuable woman.
Right. And you know, so many women, you see them, man, they make you go like, wow, what was I thinking about? And that's all part of the metal madness, man. That's all part of the madness. You know, a lot of men are asking themselves, what were they thinking about when they got with these violent women, these women that can't listen, these women that don't respect men. Guys, once again, the link has been dropped. It's about 21 minutes after the hour, 10 o'clock. If you guys want to chime in to the Miles Bridges fiasco where he got stung, but also if you want to chime in about the McDonald's massacre and how and where you see men going as we live.
That is a massacre, man.
So guys, chime in if you got any questions to ask Ingram and I about this whole situation, this whole fiasco. If not, we're going to sign off in a few minutes. But Ingram, I'm going to ask you a question. I always believe in talking about something that all men should look for, and we call it, solutions. So I want to ask you a question, and this is part of the show when we find.
This is the part of the show where we find solutions.
All right, what are the solutions moving forward? Some will say, shout out to Mr. Palmer, change the law in your mind. And I do believe in that. In the clinical world, we call it cognitive restructuring. But what are the solutions moving forward in your opinion?
Well, the solutions going forward in this, in my opinion, is for men to actually, we have to start teaching young men to value themselves and value their life. That's the first thing. Secondly, we have to deal with building the self-esteem of men so that they don't have a scarcity mindset and they're not bottom feeding off these broad. When I coined the term relationship capitalism, the globe is your dating market. You don't have to consume that stuff that you see that's right in front of you. Like, just because it's there and that's readily available to you, don't consume that stuff. And if you're a young man and you have a good head on your shoulder and you're doing the right things, get the hell out of the hood. That's the first thing. Get the hell away from ignorant people. Get the hell away from fools. I don't care if you have to join the Navy, the Air Force, use it to pay for college, or use it to further yourself, to get the hell away from hood people. The mindset and the mentality is terrible. It's trash. Mm-hmm. You don't want to engulf yourself in that mindset. Mm-hmm. Get away from them. Mm-hmm. And thirdly, don't let nobody shame you by questioning your manhood, questioning your blackness, questioning who you are as a person, to get you to settle for mediocrity and in terms of what you're supposed to have as a woman. Women are supposed to be peaceful. They're not supposed to be combative. They're not supposed to be causing problems in homes. They're not supposed to be picking fights with you and shaming you or emasculating you. That is not normal behavior. That's just rubbish in our culture. And I agree with the coach here on one point. Travel. Get outside of America. Mm-hmm. Get outside of America. See how the rest of the world lives. Meet women from different cultures. Expand your options. Don't have tunnel vision and have a scarcity mindset where you're settling for low quality women.
Yeah, man, I totally agree with you. I agree with you 1,000%. But in the meantime, shout out to my man James Miles for the sponsor of streaming. He didn't even leave in the comments, and that's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? He is the sponsor of the stream. I really appreciate it. That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? And you taking your time, money, and resources to not only look at the coach and clinician along with my co-host, the Ingram experience, but also taking your time and your resources to pour into me as I pour into the brotherhood, because so many young men are getting stung, but they don't know how to move around being stung because they've been conditioned to serve instead of demanding power. So guys, once again, the link has been dropped. If you've been stung in modern dating and relationships, and you want to add to the Miles Bridges fiasco, please chime in. In the meantime, get the likes up. If you have not shared the content, guys, share this content and share this stream to at least 5 people. Help this channel grow as Ingram and I seek to bring balance in a time where there is no balance, and where many men are not only married and alone, but many are suffering in silence because they don't have anyone to speak to them. And because they don't have people to speak to them and pour life into them, many of these men are going to have this. And that's about what's to happen to Miles Bridges, and he's about to lose millions of dollars. But the link has been dropped, guys. Before the Ingram Experience go, if you guys have any questions you want to add to him or more or less questions you want to ask him, feel free to chime in. This has been a good open discussion. It's been an open panel. And if the ladies want to chime in, feel free to chime in because many young men are getting stung. To the women that are listening, you have sons that need help. You have sons that need support. And, you don't want your son to continue to go down this dark spiral where he's getting stung and he's not getting the relationship outcomes that he desire or want because he does not know how to move. And so once again, I'm going to do a show soon talking about modern men, dating and relationships and marriage. And are modern men husband ready? We often talk about women being wife ready, but are modern men husband ready? And the Ingram Experience talked about a little bit in the earlier part of the show. But that's the question to remain because in other cultures, they don't tolerate what we tolerate. And once again, guys, you can't get the results that you want if you don't have standards and don't demand something for women in relationships. So once again, the link has been dropped. I'm going to sign off in about 5 minutes. No one will come up. Well, but Ingram, go ahead, brother.
No, I'm saying but that standard thing because, again, too, a lot of us that come from situations that are dysfunctional believe that dysfunction is the norm and we have to work around it. We get a woman in our lives that act like many of our, single parents of the past, where they're disagreeable and combative and whatever. And guys think, well, that's just the way they are. That's just the way women are. No, that's not just the way women are. Right. That is the dysfunction in our culture that needs to be corrected. Don't accept that mediocrity that you're supposed to be in your household, arguing and fighting. And that's nonsense because you work out in the world, you work your job every day. All men that are reasonable wants to come home and have a peaceful home. It's not normal to be fighting with people all the time and disagreeing and arguing and combating and going back and forth. And that's not normal. So don't accept that toxicity as normal in life and as we're in a relationship, because that's the problem with men they think, well, when we get married, it's going to be different. Or when we do, it's never going to be different. It's going to be the same way. Or marriage only will make it worse. Mm-hmm. And if you don't have, that type of agreeableness before you get into it, it's not going to happen when you get married. So the compromising is got to stop, especially in our community. People should not be having such low standards. And for Black men in particular, stop doing these welfare relationships where you're rationalizing women and getting in these poor relationships because you feel like they're like your mother or they like, because you want to be Black or you just want, whatever. You got to have some kind of standards before you can't expect. You got to set standards because nobody else is going to do it.
No, I totally agree, man. And that's why these conversations are important. So once again, guys, the link has been dropped. It don't appear that anyone's going to be signing in. So Ingram, we're going to sign off in a minute. This has been another good show of the Manhood Chronicles and the Coach Clinician as we explore the dynamics of relationships and being stung. Some of you guys are in predicaments where you made a lot of money, where you've gone to college, and you're with a woman that's not honoring and respecting you as a man. Do yourself a favor and begin to remove yourself from that situation, because it takes 10 years to build a city, but it takes 5 years to tear it down. This has been another great show. We will continue to bring quality content as we talk about issues that are pertinent to heteronormative masculinity and finding women that are willing to listen to what men are going through as we seek to bring resolve and change in these very turbulent times. So once again, thank you for James Miles being the sponsor of the stream. Ingram, we're going to sign off. I appreciate it, man. You did an awesome job.
Hey, thanks, man.
Funny as usual, man. And and don't be like Miles Bridges because he's about to get this.
It ain't gonna happen, Coach. As soon as I smell a hyena, I run in the opposite direction. I don't even allow them to breathe the same air as me. So that I'll leave you with that.
All right, man. I appreciate it, man. Much love and blessings, Ingram. Have a good weekend, man. And I respect, but much respect, brother. Thank you, sir.
All right. Peace.
All right.
Are you a victim of brokenness and despair? A broken man is a hopeless man, and a hopeless man is a very dangerous man. Many times, many of you young men that are listening come from homes that are very toxic and very dysfunctional. And because of that, many of you have deferred your power in many ways to the point it's led over into your social life and many times led over into your relationships. If you guys are dealing with mental health pathologies, conscious and unconscious, come see me at kosherclinician@gmail.com. That's kosherclinician@gmail.com. It's important that you deal with your mental health in order to be a better person for yourself, your loved ones, and also your community. But because mental health is often stigmatized, many of you often suffer in silence. Don't be a victim in silence. And see me once again at kosherclinician@gmail.com. And I need you guys to remember this. If it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, it ain't right. There are 7 steps that a man must go through in order to become an optimized male. And male mental health is one of those elements that's paramount to the functioning of a man. Be well.
Like I work in finance. God bless, no, it's not by chance. Don't dab me, you're not my man. Don't at me, you're not my man. Mama said don't buy it if you cannot buy it twice. I cop by the tools and I don't pump fake with the price. Always on the grind, I put in work with all my might. I know that he got me, not by sight. Yeah, 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 yeah. I skirt like Dandies, I slide out Landies. All black like Batman. Sit 4 days, that's for sure though. Grinding from the grip, no shame, take a photo. Time to take a trip, we head north to the border. Say you filling up, I'm my favorite type of hoarder. I got kids to feed, I got enemies, I got guys give, so they envy me. Got some friends down Memphis like I'm Aubrey. Got some friends fought for orange like some autumn leaves. Yeah, 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 yeah. I skirt like Dandies, I slide out Landies. Beat up Benji, all black like Batman. Yeah, 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 yeah. I skirt like Dandies, I slide out Landies. Beat up Benji, all black like Batman. All black like Batman. All black like Batman. All black like Batman. All black like Batman.
Money line, I'ma run it every time. Give me mine, going up, need no decline. Money line, I'ma run it every time. Give me mine, going up, need no decline. Yeah, yeah. Why check Castro, yeah, I need my ass. Why check Castro, yeah, I need my money line. Why check Castro, yeah, I need my money line. Why check Castro, yeah, I need my money line. Watch out for those who surround you, need no funny kind. You can't see what's on my brain, I live inside my mind. Out of space and out of sight, you need me in my line. Need no face, don't need no phonies, no, no, no. Need no snakes, no only homies down for show. On go, go, go. Get a book and get the front and we load up and roll, roll, roll. I got kids, yeah, I got staff, I make a little need more, more, more. I sell records, you sell packs, not on my level, no, no, no. I'm a pop star, I'm a rock star, I'm a winner. Think I'm not hard, you smoke rock hard waste, man, why you dumb? I'm with airline, we on airlines like we on the run. I'm with Tay, girls run up on me, they done. Money line, I'ma run it every time. Give me mine, going up, need no decline. Castro, yeah, I need my ends. Why check Castro, yeah, I need my money line. Why check Castro, yeah, I need my money line. Why check Castro, yeah, I need my.
Ma jolie, oh ma jolie. Ah yeah, eh. Every time I come around you, baby girl, something doesn't feel the same. You said that I'm changing, but it's really you. I see how you play those games. Wifey type for a main man. A queen can make moves, a king can. Snatch you up, now you taking. Gave you bricks, now you building a wall up, wall up. Lately you and I've been all love, all love. I don't know what's up with our love, our love. You forgetting all about us, oh. My jolie, oh my jolie. Where are you when I need you the most? You still MIA. This is murder, heart is melting. Girl, you got me. Called your bluffing, made you something. Now you talking. Telling me to cool it off, cool it off. How can I cool it off, cool it off? Telling me to cool it off, cool it off. How can I cool it off, cool it off? Ma jolie, oh ma jolie. Ma jolie, oh ma jolie. You don't turn on me now. You don't get no time for me now, babe. Got him on a rebound, but it's only you that I like, babe. Tout ce que j'ai fait c'était pour toi. Sur le haut parle mais t'écoutes pas. Tu me vois crever mais tu bouges pas. Pourquoi? Whoa, yo, wall up. You can't even get the scars up for us. I don't know what's up with our love. You forgetting all about us, oh. My jolie, oh my jolie. Where you been when I need you the most? You still MIA. This is murder, heart is melting. Girl, you got me. This is cause of bluffing. Made you something, now you talking. I call you bluff. Telling me to cool it off, cool it off. How can I cool it off, cool it off? Telling me to cool it off, cool it off. How can I cool it off, cool it off? Ma jolie, oh ma jolie. Ma jolie, oh ma jolie. Yeah, this is murder, heart is melting. Girl, you got me. Called your bluffing, made you something. Now you talking. Telling me to cool it off, cool it off. How can I cool it off, cool it off? Telling me to cool it off, cool it off. How can I cool it off, cool it off? Cool it off. I don't know how to cool it off. Ma jolie, oh ma jolie.
I've really been addicted to you. All of my attention I've been giving to you. Caught up in my feelings, I got feelings for you. Caught up in my feelings, I got feelings for you. On my mind, I can't lie. On my mind, I can't lie. Hold you down till you dry. Hold you down till you dry. All the time, ease my mind. All the time, ease my mind. I know that you're dangerous, I'm addicted to you. I might rent the Lambo and go drive it like it's stolen. I've been living wild, I'm just going through the motions. Stumbling out the Uber, grabbed my hand, gave me a notion. Swimming in your water, but it feels just like the ocean. I can't lie, I've really been addicted to you. All of my attention I've been giving to you. Caught up in my feelings, I got feelings for you. Caught up in my feelings, I got feelings for you. On my mind, I can't lie. On my mind, I can't lie. Hold you down till you dry. Hold you down till you dry. All the time, ease my mind. All the time, ease my mind. I know that you're dangerous, I'm addicted to you. I was sipping more for 2 years straight to the face. Champagne belly bubble still won't go away. Last year my best man hit a stain with bad face. Now he's got a LB on the water's cold case. I wake up with pain sometime and never go away. Wonder why I balance to my knees when I pray. In my city gritty, gotta keep it on your waist. Or you might be a victim, they'll find you DOA. I can't lie, I've really been addicted to you. All of my attention I've been giving to you. Caught up in my feelings, I got feelings for you. Caught up in my feelings, I got feelings for you. On my mind, I can't lie. On my mind, I can't lie. Pull you down till you dry. Pull you down till you dry. All the time, he's my mind. All the time, he's my mind. I know that you're dangerous, I'm addicted to you.